Hi guys, it's April. July is done. I read books. Let me tell you about books. I am the cheesiest person on the planet. Oh well. So July was an interesting month for me, as all months really are. But I spent a lot of time at work, putting in some long hours, staring at computer screen. And this led to the audiobook phenomenon. I don't normally pick up audiobooks, but I was having trouble getting into the Lord of the Rings series, so I started looking into the library and audiobooks, and things kind of just like snowballed. I read 8 audiobooks this month. Yeah, 8. If the book was just that epic, I didn't just listen to it at work. It started, bleeding into my commute and things like that. In all, it was a good audio month. In total, including all of the audiobooks, I managed to consume 12 books. Not bad, seeing as I spent most of my life at work. I think that was pretty good. The first audiobook I picked up from the library was The Coldest Girl in Coldtown from Holly Black, and I'm so glad I did. Earlier this year, I read The Darkest Part of the Forest, and that was the first Holly Black book that I ever read, and I enjoyed her writing style, so I'm like, it's from the library, might as well check it out. Oh my gosh, The Coldest Girl in Coldtown is about Tana, who lives in this world that is like ours, but it contains vampires. And they've started to take over. The government has come up with this system of developing cold towns in which they quarantine the vampires and become their own little worlds. The book starts where we meet Tana as she's waking up from a party and everyone is dead. It just flies from there. Ever since Twilight, I've had a little with vampires. My brain shuts off when you start to talk about them because of the whole fandom that happened. But this one, it took me by surprise, and I think it's because it's so reminiscent of the Buffy series. It's got that spunk that I just so enjoyed. It's one of those books I'm probably gonna have to add to my library at some point, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I fell into a unfortunate place by picking up Paranormal C by Kirsten White. This book is about Evie, who apparently works with some supernatural society and monitoring laws with supernaturals, and the voice of Evie was just too juvenile for me. I couldn't, it ended up falling flat for me, so it was only 2 out of 5. And guess what, guys? I finally made it through all of the original Lord of the Rings in 2.5 weeks. An audiobook, because I was having trouble getting into the reading of it. The issue comes with how I've consumed this series to date. I grew up in a family where Lord of the Rings was a constant, and then the movies came out, and so I knew the whole storyline. I knew what was different. I knew what was going to happen, and I think that hindered my reading progress. So by picking up the audiobooks and being read to that way instead, it gave me the freedom to just let myself go and not force myself through it. I'm really glad I did. My dad actually challenged me to pick up this series after I made him do the whole Silo series. It was kind of like a little bit of revenge because I took up part of his life as he was consumed by that series. So I am so glad to be able to say that I have officially, consumed all the words in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I had a hard time reviewing this because it is such a part of my life. It's just something that's there. Would I have ever picked it up on my own? Probably not. Did I enjoy it? Yes, I did. The last audiobook binge that I went on for the month was the 3 Raven Cycle books that are out right now. And that is The Raven Boys, The Dream Thieves, and Blue Lily, Lily Blue. I fell in love, guys. I There's just so much in this series, and it was another one of those that came out of like left field and smacked me in the face, and I'm gonna have to get this in physical form now to add to my library because I liked it so much. Okay, the Raven Cycles, as it stands right now, is about Blue. Blue is the only non-psychic supernatural being in a family of psychic paranormal women. She has grown up around the realm of all of that mysticism and future telling. She's never been able to do it herself. Well, in this town of Henrietta, there is also this all-boys school, and the boys who go there are called the Ravens. They're Raven boys. She's always distanced herself from them because they're the private school boys. They're the rich kids that they'd never, and yeah. Well, Blue has also grown up knowing that she had a curse attached to her. That if she were to ever kiss her one true love, she would kill him. Well, in a chain of events, she ends up in this posse of boys, Gansey, of Ronan, of Adam and Noah, and they're all Raven boys, but they become her Raven boys, and in the process they're searching for all this kind of magic, and it's like a mystery, a supernatural mystery with these teenagers. And I think what got me the most is it kind of takes the anime reverse harem trope, and that is that group. You've got Blue, who is the girl who keeps them together and, gives them a base, and then Gansey, who's the smart, mysterious, kind of loyal figure who takes care of everyone, and then Adam, who's kind of got a chip on his shoulder and has something to prove. Ronan, who's the bad boy, but he's got a big heart. And then Noah, who's just he's got something. There's something there. He's got a weird tick. You don't know what it is, but he's just a sweetheart. I think that's what I love the most about the Raven Cycle series. I can't wait until the next one comes out. I think it's the last one, but don't quote me on that. I can't wait, guys. And now for some physical books that I can hold up and show to you. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I'm not going to explain this one to you. This is a reread that I am doing with my roommate. We're going to read one Harry Potter book per month. Mainly because I didn't want to binge the whole series all at once, because I wanted to intersplice other things in there and not have it take over my whole life. But I enjoyed this reread, as I knew I would, seeing as I've only read this book and listened to the audiobook 17 bajillion times. But it's been a while, and there were some things that I forgot, which surprised me. And then Armada by Ernest Cline came out, and I fangirled all the way up and down the street until this thing arrived on my doorstep. This is about Zach Lightman, whose life pretty much revolves around video games. And then one day he sees a spaceship that is eerily similar to one of the spaceships in his video game. He gets the joy of figuring out what that means. It was a very interesting read. You got a lot of the old video game references in there, and Alien, and the history of media and aliens. I liked this book. I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed Ready Player One, probably because I am not as much into the alien shooter kind of video games that this is primarily based off of. But in the end, because it took a little bit of my heart, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. This next one's really exciting, guys. The Politics of Promotion. How High-Achieving Women Get Ahead and Stay Ahead by Bonnie Marcus. This was actually one that I won through Goodreads a while ago, and I've only been making my way through it. It's not one of those ones that I could consume rapidly, It basically talks about how women in the workplace need to kind of re-switch our processing of what it means to be working there and getting ahead, and how we need to think of networking as getting our name out there and promoting ourselves so we can get the promotion, and starting to think about building and fostering these kind of relationships, especially since this has been the men's club for so long, and how we kind of need to stick our foot in there and start thinking in some of the same kind of concepts, because they're not necessarily bad things, especially if done correctly, but if misused can, which is what we primarily think about, is people brown nosing and pushing ahead and all that kind of stuff. It was just not. So it was a very interesting read, especially with all the things that have been going on at work for me. I've started kind of noticing things a little differently, and so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Finally, last but not least, I picked up an ebook called Hugh Howey Lives by Daniel Arthur Smith. It's a really long name and I almost didn't remember it. I picked up this book primarily because it has Hugh Howey's name in the title, and you guys all know how much I love Hugh Howey. It was not at all what I expected. Not at all. It's a shorter story. The premise is the world has gotten to the point where authors are obsolete. Stories are written by algorithms and computers just generate and spit things out. They're not necessarily consumed paper, ink, words, but 2 women are on an adventure to find Hugh Howey because one of them believes there are clues leading to his location. The story kind of plays on the concept of whether or not creating needs a human element. In truth, it didn't need Hugh Howey or his name. It could have been like any known author. And I guess that's okay. But as I was reading, I was going through expecting a little bit of the Hugh Howey feel, and I wasn't getting it. In the end, it made me think, but it's probably not something I'd ever read again. So I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. That was my reading month, guys. It was weird. I listened more than anything, but I still consider that reading. Tell me what your favorite read of the month was, and what audiobook that you would recommend for me to listen to, because August is going to be another large work month. Heart your beautiful faces. Bye. Reminiscence.